I just thought I'd do a really quick video here on reversals. I've gotten asked about it on several occasions, and it's something that I wanted to put out there. I've been really busy. So I wanted to put this out there. I wanted to teach you guys a couple of quick things about reversals. Hopefully you find this helpful, and hopefully it helps you to improve the quality of your readings. I wanted to thank you all for joining me. I've gotten a lot of positive response on my tarot card videos, and so I thought I'd make another one and help some people out. People have been asking me about reversals, and I thought that would be a good topic to discuss. There's several ways of interpreting reversals. The most obvious one would be to say that a reversal is the opposite of the original card. But I don't like this way of doing it, and I'll tell you why. I'll show you an example here. Let's say we pulled out the Death card, and we were to interpret that as being the opposite of the Death card. What I don't like about that is there's other cards instead that could have been coming through the deck that could have indicated a similar thing as the opposite of Death. You might have gotten the Sun instead, or you might have gotten perhaps something like the Ten of Pentacles, perhaps, as being the opposite of Death. So, if we were to interpret them as the opposite, what I think we'd find is that there's other ways, there's better ways of having that meaning come through the cards instead of looking at the reversals. So a lot of people do read them that way. I think that that's fine. I'm not comfortable with that, though, because I don't like the idea of the Death card symbolizing rebirth or a new beginning, when that's clearly not what's depicted on the card. Other cards could have been used for that. So I don't like that way of interpreting reversals. Another way of interpreting reversals is to say that it refers back to the previous card. So, for example, an inverted Knight of Pentacles might actually be referring to the Page of Pentacles, for example. I think that that's a really interesting way of doing a reading, because cards, while they should be random, aren't always, because certain cards may not be accessible at the bottom of the deck due to the method of shuffling or cutting that was chosen by the querent. I think it's a really great idea to consider this possibility, that an inverted card refers to the previous. I like that idea. You might consider doing that yourself. You can also do it, of course, with a Major Arcana, where they would refer to the previous Major Arcana card. That's something to think about. I think that's also a very interesting way of doing it. Another way of doing reversals is to say that they indicate a blocked energy or some kind of a resistance within the card. So, for example, if you were to receive something like the Queen of Wands, depending on where it was in the spread, you might say that could be interpreted as a resistance towards that person. If it's referring to someone in the querent's life, that the querent is resisting the influence of that person. If the Queen of Wands represents the querent, then it may indicate a resistance towards taking on that role or taking on that responsibility. Another example, perhaps, like the Knight of Pentacles, perhaps that would suggest either a reversion back to the Page of Pentacles or a resistance to take on the role of Knight of Pentacles. I would interpret the Knight of Pentacles to be someone who is making strong action towards happiness and long-term prosperity. And so perhaps there's an indication that they're a bit of a spendthrift, that they don't want to take on that responsibility. So that would be another interpretation of the reversals. Another interpretation of the reversal would be to say that it indicates a unconscious information. That is to say that the querent isn't aware of it. So perhaps if we had an inverted moon, you might say that the reversal indicates the querent's lack of awareness towards these darker influences that are creeping around him or her. You might say that the reversal indicates that they haven't given enough thought or enough consideration or haven't looked hard enough to find these influences that may pose a problem to them in the future. A reversed Two of Swords might suggest they're unaware of these two decisions that face them, these two options that face them, and how those two options can conflict with one another. So I really like that idea. I like the idea of viewing it as an unconscious influence rather than a conscious one, something that the querent is not aware of. That's a really interesting way of doing it as well. But one other way to do this, to look at reversals, and I really like this because if you haven't noticed, the deck, at least outside of the major arcana, is heavily male influenced. You have pages, you have knights, you have kings, that's 3 men, and you have the queens, which are women. And of course the pages, being younger children, could also refer to women as well. But one of the things I like to do is to look at a reversal also as a gender reversal. That the Knight of Pentacles is still the Knight of Pentacles, but it's not a man, it's a woman. That the Queen of Wands is a man in the querent's life who represents some feminine traits or some importance or recognition of the feminine, but is actually a man. That doesn't mean homosexual necessarily, but it just means a person of the other gender. So I really like that interpretation for the court cards, but really any picture card that depicts people of a particular gender. For example, the Three of Cups showing 3 women. That could be interpreted as 3 men, or as a group of men, or a small group of men. So boys playing the Five of Wands, where it's a card of mock combat, you could look at that as young girls growing up and learning to be social and being the way that young girls are in their form of mock combat, which isn't physical, but is more psychological, is more social, and the kind of social circles that women have and girls have growing up. And that you could interpret the card as referring more to that feminine type of activity. So hopefully that gives you a good idea on some of the ways you can read reversals. I hope you found this useful, and I hope you look forward to my next video. If you like what I'm doing here, feel free to subscribe, to like it, pass it along to your friends. I look forward to that, and I really enjoy seeing that when people recognize the work I'm doing. So thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.